It's Joy again at the Art Garage. We got a story and a project for you again. We're gonna end up doing some kind of an animal mask, just using stuff you might find around the house. These two masks, this is what we're gonna make, are gonna be from the story, the true story of the Three Little Pigs by a wolf. It's told by John Sheska and illustrated by Lane Smith. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf, and you can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that we eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But, like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. Do you guys see those little bunny ears in there? So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, "Little pig, are you in?" But no answer. I was just about to go home without a cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. And that's when my nose started to twitch, and I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I stuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. And how do we sneeze, guys? Ha-choo! Don't forget. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. Well, it seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate him up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the doorbell in the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, are you in?" And he yelled back, "Go away, wolf! You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. So I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I had a great sneeze. But how do we sneeze, everybody? Achoo! And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail, wolf's honor. Now, you know food would spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother, and he must have been the brains of the family because he built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, wolf! Don't bother me again!" Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear, sweet, old granny's birthday cake. What a pig! I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Achoo! Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down that pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. Big bad wolf. I will huff and I will puff. A.T. Wolf, big and bad. Look at all these stories. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the whole story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? Silly wolf. So, there's our story. And you can already see that we made a pig mask. But we're going to go through how to make a wolf mask. So this is an old Chipotle bowl. Okay, you could use any kind of paper bowl or a paper plate. Anything is fine. Okay, and then you need, this is like an old French fry cup, but you might have just a paper cup, and that's fine. You can use any of those things. So what you're going to do with the paper cup is you're just going to we need a long nose that's kind of going to be at the bottom like this. So if you're going to do a pig, if you turn your bowl this way, that would be great for a pig face, right? But if you're going to do a wolf, turn it this way because the wolf's face is longer. So take your cup and just kind of trim it if you need to. You might not even need to, right? And then you might want to make some slits in it because we're going to have to bend this down. Okay, so I'm going to bend these out. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing that is because that is going to then be taped onto the bottom of the mask, okay, to be the nose. Before we go any further, it's probably a good idea to make the eye holes now, okay? So this you're gonna need some help from somebody, from a grown-up, okay? But you are going to put the mask up to your face and your grown-ups are going to make some marks where your eye holes will go. So my eye holes are about here and here, okay? And you're gonna probably need some help. So ask an adult to help you. We're gonna punch a little hole in there. This is not a good idea if you're an older kid, like middle school, upper elementary, middle school. See, if you had done that, you might have hurt yourself. So you don't want to do this if you're little. You need to have somebody help you, but an older kid could probably do it. So I'm just gonna, see, it's really not very safe, so you need to make sure that an adult is helping you. And then you can try to cut the holes out with scissors, adults, but an easier way to do it is probably using a box cutter or an X-Acto blade, but I'm just gonna go ahead and use the scissors. So you see I got one eye, let's do the other one. So then I can see through it pretty good. I can see through it pretty good if I couldn't hear me say that. Okay, so I got my eyes. Now we're gonna tape the nose on. So I'm going to set this here and we're gonna take strips of tape. If you can tear it, great. If you can't tear it, pull it out and use some scissors to cut it. That's an easier way to do it. All right, so we're going to just tape this on. And you can use any things you can find. If you can't find a cup, maybe you could just make a cone out of paper and do something like, right, make a cone out of the paper and tape that, fold that over, cut this off, and you can glue that, you can tape that on as well. There's lots of different ways to do this. Just use your imagination, use your brain, because everybody's got these amazing brains and we can figure out a lot of things if we use them. Okay, and once you have the nose taped on, like that, now we're going to start changing the color. We don't want it to look like this, we want it to look like a wolf. So I chose a lot of brown paper. This can be for an accent color, but I have lots of brown. I'm just going to take this paper and I'm going to rip it up. Okay, I'm going to rip it up into a bunch of small pieces. Okay, a lot of pieces. And then I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to start covering everything. Okay, so I'm going to squirt out some glue. And then I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to stick it on the glue. Okay, and if the glue starts to squirt out from where you pushed it down, just move it around. You want to cover everything. Your hands are going to get gluey, but you can easily wash them off. And you guys are probably really good at washing your hands by now because we've been all having to do that to make sure that we are keeping ourselves and our families healthy. Okay, so this is going to take a long time. And that's okay. You'll end up with a really, really cool project. This took me quite a while. The pig took quite a while to do because I covered the whole thing with pink paper, right? So now I'm going to cover this whole thing with brown paper, doing just exactly this, okay? So just keep going. And you can tear paper to fit in certain spots if it's too big, of course. But the one thing you don't want to do is take giant strips like this and try and do that. You need to do the smaller strips. It will work better and be less frustrating for you. And yes, it's going to take some time, but it will look really, really good. All right, so like I said, it's gonna take a long time, but just put on some good music and glue away. Rip and glue, rip and glue, rip and glue. That's all you gotta do. And putting a little glue on the outside is helpful. It's just like paper mache. And if you want to paper mache this, you can also do that. All you have to do is mix up some flour and water till you get like a pancake batter consistency, and take these papers and dip them in there. And then, for example, if this was the bowl, I would dip that in and get plenty of paper mache on both sides. Use my piece fingers. Okay, so you dip it on both sides, use my piece fingers, close them, and scoop the goop over the bowl, okay? You can easily do paper mache as well. All right, we're gonna keep gluing, keep gluing, keep gluing. So, right now might be a good time for you guys to like press pause and just listen to some music and just keep putting the papers on your bowls. And then come back when you're all done. Hi guys! So here's my mask. I finished it. I put lots of paper on it with glue. I added a different color on here for a little interest, and then of course put the triangle in for the nose. We made some ears. Just cut out paper and glue a different color on the inside, and then glued it to the back. Our wolf has glasses. So I made some out of pipe cleaners. And all you gotta do with that is just twist it around until I used one pipe cleaner to make the circles, and then cut pipe cleaner in half and use the two sides for the sides of your glasses. So all you gotta do there is stick it on over the eyes like this, right? And then again, take some tape and tape that into the side of your mask, and then it will stay there, and there you have your wolf mask. So remember, we made a pig and a wolf. To go with our story, the true story of the three little pigs. And you can make both of these masks. These can be any animals you want. You could easily turn this into a horse or a unicorn. Just change the colors and put a horn on there. You can make sheep, you can make a dog, a cat, whatever. This could be a great cat. So just have fun with your recycling and come up with something really cool. And we'll see you again. Wash your hands.